25 August 2022, Saquarema City. It's not my intention move today, but kind of we are forced to move as moving today. We will have on mind things we did and the steps forward that we are taking. You had a lot of summits and thematic panels, special on economy, really concerned with the issue of inflation. We did the analysis as inflationary process, and we could observe that duplicity of records is something used, and to boost the inflation you sometimes will count with the records prepared by specific hands to boost your purpose and interest. This always will go inside an environment that is closed. It's a space. And the duplicity of failure oriented by a purpose with lack as integrity, qualified by your defensive language as system as negative one, will be a Dutch product. This closed space you got as economic conjuncture, but at my sites it's named Banach's space. You had the interest, and indeed you have the interest as exploitation, and to do the exploitation and confirm your intention by any kind of gains and have the continuity of criminal purpose that we observed in many areas with interaction by one very peculiar signature as sector named communication, but all sectors on it by the interconnection, which will carry much more sectors until have the entire community as global community and environment. But as you can observe, the movement will sometimes have crossed areas. We are doing repairs at the house, noises is all by my counts. So we will have this situation here, and this allows the crosscut. The communication is an essential sector, and so the oil, the gas, the energy, the security, the health system, because them all will have records that will fuel the big data as communication. In Brazil, we fail us. 119.88 up to 2022. Local failure with interaction since at least 2007 with this global conjuncture as neural network based on orientation, which implies a direction, and the sense switched very inside the regular area until have the criminal purpose as the main driver for mobilization at sports, Olympics, health system, and others. Of course, that we will take care of this as a global menace. We will have in mind that the 37 trillion as compensation plus penalty goes as origination as compensation with interest as first order, second order linked with this interest, and the third group of interest. And of course that the offender as a system, which the offender group inside the debtor system, which got them viewed as a criminal system, will operate in the way they do, by the association and partnership in general observed by criminal purpose and fraud scams, especially on record and protected by lawfare and public corruption or institutional corruption if you consider the corporate peer. And we have in mind that if this goes at public department and essential public service, including the security and defense, you can claim your rights or complain with the offender that is violating your basic rights, your guarantees as a citizen, an individual, a company, a global company, or a creditor committee. The essential clause as payroll is the anti-crime budget, the administration. We had the Federal Bureau of Investigation as driver and peers. We will observe that the debtor system, this is our credit, this is our debit. That is, related with the offenders. Let's suppose that is the Brazil and peers acting like this. But they would like to have their money, and they will try to do this not near at the center as economic agreement and treatment of this kind of trouble, but far away. But their interest here kind of divided like this. And will, after get this chain as third interest, be by failures inside this area here that you have. And in the same way, trying to be at the first order as interest, which is a peripheral line at the driver, Federal Bureau of Investigation. But maybe here you will be blocked by the firewall at our security system, operated at the financial area, considering the bank system. The relation credit and debt indeed goes since the Middle Ages by the needs on Europe to interconnect the traders at the feudalism by something that could handle and have the storage of the money at that time, and this carry the origin as bank system. We don't have contracts and things like this global interconnection by communication the way we have, but we must have the fiduciary element that have been following the bank system since that time until the period that got corrupted and interrupted, and we are carrying this back. Not the feudalism or the primal instincts as middle age, especially on institutions that indeed exist on present time, and I have no doubt, especially on Europe, that but the fiduciary argument on at least on Western bank system. And our drivers here wouldn't be associated at our first order interest that you can carry by our mailbox. This kind of thing must be evidenced. But how can we have them all in a trial at this time by economic crimes, considering the trust and the trust scam? Because when you do the vulnerability at the consumer market and your society and civilization, Of course, that you do that by the decreasement of capacity in some specific areas. If you had the intellectual asset, you do the decreasement at the intellectual asset. If it's on make decision, you reduce the capacity as freedom to operate and have a decision. It means that you are always operating against the premise that allows the capacity at the procedure that you'd like to conquer and have the new sense as orientation based on direction as criminal purpose. And was complaining on America that you have one unsustainable debt, especially at the students, but the students at the university, you will have that this group has two kind of interests. At the middle age, when you have the debt, you kind of will offer a piece of your body, like in home in the same way, to pay the debt you assumed. And on present time, you will observe that when you do and have the regression, considering the energy and all sectors that carry the issue with inflation, and the decreasement of your university as life that you form your society at the future, considering the relation in general as a family, as a man and a woman. And you had the decreasement of something that is at the bottom of your society to something like this. This space is the debt assumed and will change the values of your society because the debtor has no capacity of self-determination and will impact the consumer, the decision and preference at your market. And in an ultimate situation, the youth suffering this kind of constriction at their freedom is a young adult that has organs, and like the men and the women, they both have organs. And you are impacting the future of your society by the destruction of values, by crimes against mankind, considering the traffic of organs. How can we put these criminal offenders or have the control of this risk? Using our model as 37 trillion, we have a case as 5 billion by the harassment you do, especially in Brazil, and you had no courage to assume or dismiss criminals, especially on your public institutions. We will buy the hot and credit as criminal credit because the credit and the debt as a relation will be formed by something before as density with functionality that puts the orientation equally both indeed as something for corruption and criminal purpose by the decreasement of your capacity. We will pick the credit as criminal credits formed by criminal purpose, and we will buy these groups since they are kind of in good faith. We will observe that the moral conviction on it as operation can be in good faith or in not good faith. We will take the credit in good faith as the first strike, but with a new census orientation by the reducement of capacity kicking at the university and the academic space. And now you that would like to have the dealing and the contracts reviewed with these men as young adult at the university or the women at the university with this unsustainable debt, you now we will deal with the new owner of this credit in America as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. By the exploitation you did against them, now we will deal with the dogs. See? And guess what? Crimes we will have trial by jury, considering the cultural destruction and the crimes against mankind, but at the antitrust justice. And the American people will declare the guiltiness of the offenders. See, we will finish here if it's necessary move forward. But your disgrace is prepared. Like that caipirinha. Have a nice day.